I just don't think that all land is created equal. I think that we need to understand that certain land needs to be considered differently than others.
Is Wyoming sacrificing enough? I think we are. I think we're sacrificing above and beyond. Do you sacrifice to the point where you degrade the water? I mean, I want to drink clean water. I want to breathe clean air. I want to be able to eat clean food. Do we go to the point to where we denigrate those things that we take for granted?
Pinedale anticline in the Jonah Field have substantially changed Sublette County.
Tourism contributes over $2 billion annually to the Wyoming economy, and Sublette County is on a major route to Yellowstone. 11% of the state sales tax collections are tourism related. Tourism is the #2 industry in the state of Wyoming, and so the gas boom coming in one way has bolstered the economy through, as far as sales tax and lodging tax goes, but it has decreased all of the revenues of the businesses who relied on tourists, who spend money in a different way than a gas field worker does. Some of the businesses have been able to adapt. One of my favorites is the gift store that advertises guilt gifts for the guys to take back to their wives when they go home every 2 weeks. But it's not the same as having busloads of tourists stop by and shop in their store. If the things that would bring tourists to our area are damaged or destroyed by massive amounts of drilling, indiscriminate drilling, then the tourist won't come back.
I've seen changes in it since I was a kid. When they go in and make that 2-lane highway through there, which they did this year, and there's this huge rig next to this little beautiful mountain stream right in the middle of a valley that we used to go up and hunt. Within probably 1 mile or less of that rig, over the years, myself and my other hunting party buddies have probably taken anywhere between 8 and 10 elk. But that's going to be changed forever. I mean, when they say that they can mitigate the damage, I'm not so sure that we can. Wagon trains and horses came across the desert down here 140 years ago, and those tracks are still there.
Community-wise, we've given up aesthetics, we've given up wildlife, bird life, air quality, water quality, and now, when is enough enough?
We're doing our fair share to contribute to the nation's need for oil and gas, and there needs to be a place that we set aside and that we protect, and that's the Wyoming range.
I think a lot of the support we're getting for the Wyoming range stems from what's happened in the Jonah and the anticline.
And once oil and gas does start their drilling in different areas, they expand. They get exceptions that they can continue drilling through the winter. And that's exactly what they said would not happen in the beginning. So it has a great effect on the wildlife.
Our deer herds are 50% below the management numbers for that the state set themselves.
Just from what I see that goes on in the Jonah Field and the Pinedale anticline, if that was to come into the Wyoming range, it is going to have a drastic effect on the other traditional uses.
The original sites were 40 acre, and now they've infilled. They're talking 5 acres now. That environment cannot sustain that.
I've talked to several ranchers that have grazing rights up there, and they want to keep it the way it is. I don't know how much of an effect it will have on them. It will have some on their businesses up there if they do go to developing, but probably not as much as the sportsmen, the outfitters, the people go up there to recreate, snowmobile. It's going to have an effect on everybody, but everybody's just really coming together.
And that's where the genesis of this whole thing is public awareness, bringing all these groups together, letting everybody know what's at stake.
Our whole idea behind the Blue Green is to get more people involved in listening and understanding that your voice is important, and sometimes people don't speak up until it's too late and things are gone.
Yeah, one of the interesting things is the different groups and the diversity of groups that came together to protect the Wyoming range. You have your sportsmen, your outfitters, a lot of the ranchers have really stepped forward. And then, the environmental groups, which has really changed my opinion on what an environmental group is, or a conservation group, because I consider, you know, myself an extreme environmentalist. You know, I want to protect our mountain ranges, you know, keep our water clean, keep our air clean, and just protect what we have.
The use that's going on now is going to suffer so dramatically, and once they're gone, our use will never come back.
Our slogan for our group is "Enough is enough," and that's sort of what we look at. The Sublette County has given up an awful lot with the Jonah Field and the anticline.
Responsible drilling is making sure that you're drilling in the right place at the right pace.
It's not about slowing it down in the Wyoming Range. I think that any existing leases there, any ones that are still pending, etc., should absolutely just be stopped.
I believe the ultimate solution would be legislation to protect it from development.
The greater majority of it's federal land. So it's going to take federal legislation to really, really get this done. And there's a groundswell coming.
I am overwhelmed by the diversity of support on this issue, because I never thought it would be this way. People need to work together, and I think that's the way this issue will come to a successful conclusion.
This is a worthy cause. It's a worthy enough cause that I feel that I'm going to get out of my comfort zone and come out and publicly, you know, express my opinion.
If you look in the obituaries, anybody that dies in this state, especially the men, you look in the obituaries, it says enjoyed doing camping, hunting, fishing, and being in the outdoors. That's what people in Wyoming do, and that's why we live here. America the Beautiful, they sing about it all the time. What is it? Are we going to change the songs now to America the derrick sites?
I think that there are appropriate places for drilling, and a lot of them have already been impacted, and I hope that they can mitigate some of those impacts, but I think that there are some special places that should not be drilled and should not be explored, and the Wyoming Range would be one of those.
I want to have some clean water to drink. I want to have clean air to breathe. And I want to have my hunting and fishing opportunities, and I want my children, much like Dustin, to grow up in Wyoming at least as close as possible to the Wyoming I grew up in. And I've got grandchildren, and I'd like to see them have that opportunity too. We need every voice. We need every person that's involved to get more active.
So a place like the Wyoming Range is too special to lose.